in Tasmania. Just bear with me for a minute and I will check that everything's working. There's always a bit of a delay between what I'm saying and when it comes up on YouTube or Facebook. So that looks okay. I can hear myself, which is okay. Yeah, so thanks for joining me. I can see a few people jumping on. So jump on, say where you're watching from, and say hi. Lovely little group that join me pretty regularly on my Facebook channel and my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. Anyway, so this weekend coming, which is the 11th, I think Friday the 11th of November, I'm heading to Sydney for Onstage. So Sydney Onstage for Stamping Up. It's an awesome event. I've got the backstage event on the Friday night. So that's for leaders or silver and above people within Stamping Up. And then on the Saturday, we've got the actual event itself with lots of demonstrations and some stamping and all those sorts of things. So it's going to be absolutely wonderful and catch up with some people I haven't seen for a long time with COVID and stuff like that. So part of the tradition of Onstage is to do some swaps. Now, I really wasn't going to do any swaps because I've got classes that I've been getting ready and I've been, running around with mum and family things, and it's just the time's got away from me. So I thought, no swaps from me this time. But then I found this little treat bag in Pinterest. I started to feel a little bit guilty, because that's sort of what you do when you go to Onstage. Found this cute little treat bag on Pinterest, and I thought I can whip up a few of those just to have a few swaps there, just to do the right thing. And yesterday, lo and behold, in probably the space of 2 hours, maybe less, I whipped up, there's 18 of them here. So they're a lovely quarter sheet of designer series paper in each of those. So if you've got some designer series paper that you'd love to use up, so it's basically just the quarter sheet, so 6 by 6 inches, a circular tag, which is the layering circles, a bit of matching stamping on the front, and some ribbon, and that is basically the extent of it. So if you were dropping anything to come and watch me create these today, just don't give up too much, because we're going to be finished them in probably quicker than it's taken me to give this introduction. So really cute little treat bag. I've got a couple of lollies in there. So just to see how it's going to end up, the thing with Onstage is that you basically, I have to pop that whole thing in a cello bag with a small sort of instructional sort of ingredients and cutting and scoring instructions, plus a little bit of a warning about there being chocolate in it, allergies and things like that. And then basically, yeah, so people will grab one of those and I'll grab what they've got, and that's what swapping is all about. Okay, so as I say, that's my 18. I'm going to do the final 2 here with you today. I'll make 2. I'll make them individually. Well, I actually made those 2 by 2, so I did 2 sheets of cardstock at a time, sort of halved the effort. But I'll do them individually this time, just to get you, so you can have a wee bit of a look at the process. So I've got the last 2 pieces of this particular designer series paper. This is the pretty one from Painted Christmas. I had absolutely a bomb load of this paper. It was actually a carryover from last Christmas, so I had had reams left over from last Christmas, and then I bought more when it came back in the current mini catalogue. So yes, this was the obvious choice as far as paper to use. Plus, it's really light, bright and cheery. Okay, so I'm going to pop the instructions on my website anyway, but just for the purposes of this, I'll just go through what I'm going to do. So I'm going to give it in inches, of course, but I will pop the centimetres because I've already worked that out for my little insert, so I know what the inches are before you even ask me. Okay, so the way we do this one, you score the bottom. So you score the seam for the bottom first, and that's at 1 3/8 of an inch, which is pretty much exactly 3.5 centimetres. So you score the whole way at 1 3/8 inch. Then you rotate 90 degrees, clockwise, and then you score again, and this is again at 1 3/8, so 3.5 centimetres. Okay, so you've got a right angle score there, one there and one going across that way. Then you move across to 2 3/4, which is pretty much exactly 7 centimetres. And you're going to do another score, but you're only going to score it to that score line, the sort of the very first score line. So you just take it up to there. Then you move it along to 4 1/8, which is pretty much exactly 10.5. And this time you score it all the way. And then you take it to 5 1/2, which is pretty much exactly 14. And this time again, you just score it to the score line. So it's sort of like alternating, score all the way to the score line, all the way to the score line. That's basically what you do. And the reason you do that is because this bag has a lovely, where have I put them? It has a lovely smooth surface on the front, and the only seams, and I'll show you one that I've got here. Yeah, it's got a lovely smooth surface at the front and the seams on the two sides. And that makes it easier, obviously, to pop your little tag on, but it just gives this lovely combination of sharp corners and then smooth as it transitions up. So as you can see, that's why you only score those two side ones all the way up. Okay, so that's our scoring. Hopefully, yep, it is. So I'm going to now cut all of those little score lines that we've done at the bottom here. I'm going to cut them all up to the score line. So I would use my scissors, but I'm just going to go back to the same measurements that we just did, and I'm just going to score them. As I say, easy enough just to use your scissors, but I'm just going to score them up. So the 1 3/8, the 2 3/4, the 4 1/8, and the 5 1/2, just up to that 1 3/8 score line. So there you get your little tags. I'll get rid of my trimmer now. Okay, so I do have to grab my scissors. This little sort of fiddly one at the end here, which is the 1/2 inch wide, this one, we're going to take that out completely. And I tell you, if you blink now, you're going to miss the finish because it's pretty simple. Okay, so what we need to do now is fold over our two all the way score lines, which is the two end ones. Okay, and just give those a bit of a burnish. Then we're going to pop some double-sided tape on that little bit there that's got the cutout from it. So just here. And we fold that over to form our little tunnel. Yes, sorry, thanks for answering, Sam, Jan. Yes, it is the painted Christmas paper. Okay, so now we've got our little flaps at the bottom. We're obviously going to seal those up to make our base. So just hold it so it sort of looks a bit like a square, because otherwise you're going to have difficulty getting them to fit down. Do the two opposite sides first, and then the third side, and always put your adhesive on the last one that you fold down. That makes sense. And always fold them in pairs, the opposite pairs. So opposite pairs first, and then the double-sided tape on the final one. I only got to work that out because if you do it like alternate, left, right, you'll end up, it won't seal down properly. Yeah. Trimmed my fingernails after going in the garden last week and they haven't quite grown back. So you just seal that down. There we are. So that's basically our little bag there. As I say, that fits. Those ones that I've already done have got a couple of chocolates in them, just the sealed like favourites chocolates, if you have that in your market. Just fits nicely. I could have tried to put more in, but I didn't really want to overdo it. Plus, I'd already eaten some out of the box, which is a bit of an admission. I'd eaten some out of the box, so I didn't have quite enough to go around 3 each. That's probably I shouldn't admit that. Anyway, so I've got my handy primary school hole punch here, which I'm pretty sure we've had since primary school. and I'm going to punch just a little hole in there. I know Stampin' Up had some hole punches at one stage, but I don't think they're in the catalogue anymore, so I'm quite happy to use my primary school one. So you've got there just a little hole going all the way through, and into that I'm going to pop about 7 inches of ribbon. So this is a Real Red sheer ribbon. I have a feeling it is in the clearance rack at the moment, so if you want some red ribbon for Christmas, and if it's still there, I haven't checked recently, this is a lovely ribbon, and it bows and ties really, really nicely as well. So we're going to pop that through. I probably should have put my tag on first, but anyway, I wanted to show you how to finish that. Someone's just said they've missed the beginning. Don't worry, hang around, because I am going to, as I say, do 2 of them just to give you a good close look at that scoring. Okay, so that's the bag there. So decorating, I've got a little circle from white cardstock. That's from the layering. Well, this is actually from the Stylish Shapes, because it's got the little stitching around the end. I really liked the stitching, so I substituted the normal plain circle for the stitch circle out of Stylish Shapes, but I have used the little serrated circle, the backing circle from layering circles. You could just use the normal layering circles one if you wanted to. Okay, I'm going to stamp that with the little pine needles and berries from the Christmas Seasons stamp set. So this is the one that actually went with the Painted Season DSP when it originally came out last year. And I'm going to use the sentiment of just joy, because I didn't want a too huge sentiment. And that is out of Brightest Glow, which I know a lot of you bought as part of our recent class. Okay, so I've got my plain white circle. I'm going to use all the same colours as they have featured in the Designer Series paper, so there's no huge decisions to make. My joy, my sentiment, is going to be Real Red, which is one of the reds. I think there's a couple of reds in the paper, but I'm going to use my Real Red. So I'll just pop that straight in the middle there. And I do love that red on the white, and I thought to myself, maybe I don't need anything else but that, and on its own it would look quite striking. So yeah, you could possibly just go with without the rest of the decoration around it. I thought, since it's a swap, I should probably put a little bit more effort into it than that. So using my Real Red again, I'm going to use the berries. I'm going to pop those on at the top. Like that. So this is the Real Red as well. Flip it round and put some down here as well, just where they'll fit. There we are. Love that Real Red. Now I'm going to bring in my crumb cake. And the berries have little branches. Now the little branches are actually slightly sort of, the punch has little gaps in it, so you can actually fit the little stems around the berries and make them look like a uninterrupted. It always takes me a few minutes to work out which direction they need to come in from. So there, that's right. So you can see it has a little bit of berry, a little bit of stem that pokes out around that berry. So it's really cute. And this one as well. There we are. So that's our 2 berries with their stems. I'm trying not to cover over the joy sentiment too much, but I don't think it matters too much because it's nice and bright. And I've got the little pine leaves one, and I'm, as I say, using the same colours as I did, as the paper tells me to use. So I'm just going to use my garden green. I'm going to use several generations of it. So first generation, come back in with a second generation and a third, and then flip it round and do the same. First generation, second generation. I don't think that needs a third, that one, but I might do a little bit more just there where there's a gap. There we are. Okay, so that's it almost. I'm going to use some of our festive pearls. I think I've gone through, I think I probably win the competition of who's used the most festive pearls. I think probably I'm up to my 10th pack or something like that. And I'm just going to pop a couple of those on. So I'm using the silver ones. Red would be lovely as well, but I'm using silver because that's what I've got left. A lot of left. I tend to use the gold ones and the red ones in my classes, so the silver ones I've got ample. I'm going to pop some glue on there. Just glue that straight to our little red circle, a little serrated circle. And I'm going to grab back, while that dries, to grab back our box, pop a couple of dimensionals on the front of our box. Have I got any dimensionals that aren't used? Can't believe I'm starting a new pack of dimensionals already. I suppose I did do a lot of these yesterday. Okay, so I'll use some dimensional bits. So I'm just going to pop a couple of dimensionals on the front of here. And then I will put the little circle on there. I knew there was a reason I shouldn't put the ribbon on, because I wanted to actually get my fingers in there. There we are. Yeah, so bring in our little tag, position it just under the little stamped, little punch tile that we've got, just on there, and firm that on. And that's decorated. So then we'll pop our ribbon back. Look, and to be honest, you can go just as mad and just as subtle or over the top, whatever you want with these. But as I say, they took me, the 18 that I did yesterday, took me no time at all. So it was really good. So I've managed to get some swaps done. So that's the finished item there. So I'll do one more time with that scoring and cutting, and so that you've got a bit of an idea. But as I say, I have written the instructions for my swap partners, so I'll just pop those up on my website. I have to go and buy some new chocolates, because I did actually use all the chocolates. What a shame. I'll have to buy some more chocolate. Anyway, so I'll just do another one to cut and score. I won't actually decorate. Oh, well, I've got a tag already made for that, so we'll do that. Okay, so for the bottom, you score it at 1 3/8, which is 3.5 centimetres all the way along. So this is the base. Then you rotate 90 degrees clockwise, and you score again the whole way at 1 3/8 inches, 3.5 centimetres. Then you go to 2 3/4, which is 7 centimetres, and just score up to that little first score line. So just up to the first score line. Then along to 4 1/8, which is 10.5 centimetres, and all the way up. And then you go along to 5 1/2, which is pretty much 14. And then again, you only go to the score line. So all the way just to the score line, all the way just to the score line. Okay, so that's about every 3.5 centimetres along there. Okay, then I'm going to bring in, I might do my scissors with this one. It's a bit hard to see because this paper is very, very pale colours. So we're going to bring our scissors, and we're just going to cut all 4 of those little scores up to that score line. And the last one, this last section, we're going to cut out completely. Take it along there. Okay. I can get rid of that now. Okay, so burnish the 2 full score lines. And pop on some double-sided tape onto that little cutaway piece, that little tag. Okay, I also found it really easy if I actually popped the, so this is how I was doing them by the time I'd done 18 of them. Pop some, that's going to be the, just on that little flap there, that's going to be the stuff that seals, because it's a bit hard to, I found a bit hard to negotiate it once it was all together. So seal that down. So you've got your little tube, flip it over, make it form a sort of square, then fold the two opposite ones first, then that remaining one, get rid of the edge of that, the backings of your double-sided tape, and seal it down. There you are, done like a dinner. That's an Australianism if anyone's watching from the States. Done like a dinner. Put a bit of just a hole punch there with my trusty primary school hole punch. Grab about 7 inches of ribbon. And pop that. No, just keep that because we're going to decorate it. So we've got our decorated little tag there. Well, I won't bother doing another one. Grab some dimensionals. You could just glue, of course you could just glue your tag on, but I like the little bit of height that this gives it with the dimensionals. Bring in your little tag and seal it on. There we are. So now we can bring in our ribbon. I'm just going to loop it over, bring it from the back to the front through the hole. And close it in. And that's done. How about that? You will find it annoying because they do close like that and you've got to force it open a bit, but that's okay. There you go. Done. Quick, quick, quick. Okay, so that's all I really wanted to show you today. I've got such a lot still to do before I go away for the weekend. I'll pop and see Mum this afternoon. I've got some more classes to cut so I can get them posted before I go. I haven't packed anything yet, and I'm still worried about I'm flying with Jetstar. So for anyone in Australia who has heard the news recently or has experienced it, Jetstar has a bit of a problem with delays and cancellations. So I booked it because it was, well, the fares were cheap, to be honest, but now I'm regretting it because I have a feeling I'm going to get stuck somewhere. But anyway, let's hope not. Fingers crossed Julianne is back back on Sunday afternoon as anticipated. There you are. Anyway, so that's my swap for Sydney Onstage. I hope to see at least some of you there. If you're going to Onstage and watching, please pop over and say hi. If not, it is an event for demonstrators. So if you'd like to become a demonstrator to come to the next Onstage event, then please reach out, and I'd love you to join my team. That was a bit of a plug. Anyway, so I'll see you all hopefully, well, not this Saturday because I'll be busy, although I'll probably definitely share some updates from the event. So I'll see you all again next week. Okay.